All right, so I'm going to show you exactly how to sell automation the same way I teach 20 sales reps inside my 139K a month sales automation agency. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm quite tired of seeing a million-and-one AI automation tutorial on YouTube, but nobody actually teaches you how to sell. So this will help you guys focus on the main thing that actually makes you money, which is selling. Because what's the point of building fancy automations all day if you can't turn them into money? So let's get into it. So most beginners and freelancers and entrepreneurs that I talk to every single day in the automation space have a huge problem with selling. They either don't know how to sell, what selling actually is, or they don't know how to articulate their automation, sales system, whatever system they are trying to sell in a way that makes businesses and decision makers buy. And I had this issue myself when I first got started because I was fresh out of being a nightclub bouncer. Basically, I was just knocking people every single night. So I had zero sales skills. I didn't know how to sell automation. So one thing that I learned over the course of my career is that I learned that people can master building automations and systems, but it's a lot just to do that, right? Like it is a lot just to understand like sales systems, automation, or automation in general, right? But to also be masters at sales, okay? Let alone the other things you need to do in your business, okay? Another thing is that there's literally no sales training on the internet that teaches you how to actually sell automation, which is crazy to me. Like you only see like these theoretical, like nerdy bullshit about automation, but no one actually teaches you how to actually sell these things. Because at the end of the day, you want to build automations, you can sell it, right? Because you want to sell it so you can make money and achieve what you want in life, do whatever you want in life, right? So it's crazy to me that nobody teaches like how to sell automation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that forever. Now, if the word was ending and I was literally forced to fix your sales ability, and if I didn't do it in the next 5 minutes, an asteroid would literally crash into the earth and we would all evaporate. Here's what I would do. So if you are watching this, you probably misunderstand what selling is, okay? So you have to understand, guys, selling is not convincing. Selling is the art of persuading, okay? So selling is not convincing. Selling is persuasion. Not only they're not the same, but they're fundamentally and inherently different, okay? And let me explain this. Convincing is when I attempt or try to get someone to do something I desire for my own reasons. So I'm literally like convincing them to do something that's going to appeal to my own interests for my own reasons. I'm getting them to do something for me. Okay. This is what convincing is. But persuasion is when I help someone make a decision they already desire to make. Inside their heart and soul, they want to make that decision and they want to make it for their own reasons, okay? So we're not trying to convince anybody, okay? We're just taking their hand to the outcome that they want deep in their soul, right? So now, all you have to do basically is just to tap into those reasons and show them how your system or your automation, whatever automation you're trying to sell, helps them fulfill their objective, and the only thing left for them is to buy. Okay? There's no outside pressure at all, right? Because all the pressure was inside them when you met them. It was literally in their heart and soul. The pressure was already there. You just discovered that, right? Which is called discovery, which is one of the main reasons when I teach sales reps and even people in my community, whenever someone is interested in whatever automation you're trying to sell, or like, let's say they are on a call with you. Let's say a prospect is in a call with you. So the first thing you want to do is you ask them, why did you hop on a call with me? What made my outreach stand out, right? So now they're going to reveal everything for you, right? So the reason is already there. You just show them the mirror, right? So the way I'm going to explain this to you, right, to make it extremely simple, is I'm going to use a mental model called inversion. Inversion in plain English just means you invert the problem. You flip it upside down. So instead of saying, how can I become successful? You ask yourself, what are the things that if I keep on doing, I will stay broke? So you flip the problem. So you flip it, right? You invert it, right? And I'm going to quote one of my heroes, which is Charlie Munger. I highly recommend you guys read the book, Poor Charlie's Almanac. And he said, the only place that I want to know is the place where I'm going to die, so I never go there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the things that you should not do, right? So you stay away from them, and it's going to make selling automation for you extremely easy and straightforward, okay? So one of the things that I need you to stop doing right now is stop selling the automation. Now, I know you might be wondering, Saad, well, I'm trying to sell automation. Like, should I not talk about the automation? Am I not going to be talking about it? Well, no, that's a big mistake that most beginners and freelancers and even people who have been doing this for a while actually do. That's a big problem. That's a problem, okay? Stop selling the automation. I'm going to explain to you why. The second thing is stop selling the pieces of the automation. You do not want to say, well, it has AI personalization. Well, it has a feature where it scrapes data of the internet. Never talk about the pieces of the automation. And the third thing, which is huge, this is what I like to call the kiss of death, okay? Which is stop. I need to actually make this red. Stop talking about the process. Are you with me? So stop talking about the process, okay? Because you have to understand that the process that your automation is going to take to actually fulfill, or the process to fulfill on anything, is actually harder after you start doing it than before you start doing it. So never talk about the process, because I want you guys to understand, when you show the process, when you show the behind the scenes, the back end of how the automation works, it makes it look complex, hard, and overwhelming, even if it's going to ultimately deliver the big results, right? So never talk about the process, okay? Because the process is harder when you start doing it than before you start doing it, right? Okay, so now that you understand the things that you should stop doing and never actually do, now I'm going to show you the things that you should be doing. And I can assure you, if you do these things, if you reveal these 3 things, not only the asteroid is not going to destroy Earth, right? We're all going to be alive, but you're also going to sell automation and close deals easily, and the process is going to be super smooth for you, okay? So you only need 3 things, okay? So the first thing is the payoff, the second thing is the costs, and the third thing is going to be the comparison. Now at the end, we're going to do an exercise where we're going to implement all of these things, right? And you're going to understand it clearly, okay? So for the payoff, let's just make this color blue, right? And then in terms of the costs, let's make it red. And for the comparison, we're going to leave it without any color, and it all will make sense at the end, okay? So stay with me. Are you tracking? Okay, so what is the payoff? Well, to put it simply, what do I get if I say yes to your automation, your sales system, or whatever system you're trying to sell, right? Well, what do I get? What is the payoff that I get after I say yes? Now, when prospects understand it clearly and they can define it clearly, right? They cannot buy, they have to buy. So this is what the payoff is. Now, let's talk about the cost. Well, what is the cost? The cost is simply the amount of money that they have to pay, right, if they don't buy your sales system, right? Or the cost that they have to pay, right, if they don't go with your solution or your automation that you're trying to sell them, right? The potential loss that they will have to pay. How much does it cost them to not go for your automation? How much money they are losing if they don't go with your automation, right? Now, again, when it comes to the cost that they have to pay, right? They have to pay if they don't work with you. When they can define it clearly or understand it clearly, prospects cannot buy. Again, they have to buy, okay? So this is the cost, right? So payoff, now the cost. Now let's talk about the comparison, okay? This is kind of like the ultimate attack. Imagine you are playing a video game and you have, for example, we have the healing dispel, or you have another attack, which is the blue, another one, the red. And the comparison is going to be the ultimate attack, right? When you merge all of these things, now we have the comparison, and now you can essentially just win the game. In our case, let's treat it like a video game, which is selling your automation and actually receiving money in your bank account. Because guys, I want you to understand that there's always a monetary value associated with either a problem. If you don't get rid of that problem, it's gonna cost you money, right? Or a payoff that's going to make you money if you get the outcome. Okay, so now let's talk about the comparison. You guys will need to understand that if you don't compare your sales system, right, to whatever this business is currently doing, they will always compare it to something that's going to cost them less. This is human nature, okay? We cannot change that. This is basically how humans are. So the biggest mistake that most beginners or freelancers or entrepreneurs are trying to sell automation is that they only show the payoff. They don't show the cost, right? So now what I'm teaching you is exactly what I teach my sales reps and also people in the community. By the way, we have like a mock call, and then I just come up and I get two people, which is basically two members. One acts like a lead or like a prospect, and the other one tries to sell them. And what I do is just I get them to basically role play. And whenever someone makes a mistake, I pause and say, hey, do this, say it in this tone, change the tone here, right? So it's kind of like constant feedback, because this is like I took this from Alex Hormozy when he was training sales reps, right? So you want to train a sales rep, right, in a way that's always going to be feedback. They make a mistake, you correct it at that exact time, so it stays in their brain forever, okay? So the biggest mistake is that they only talk about the payoff and they don't talk about the cost, like I said, right? So now what you want to do is you want to also show them the cost, right? You also want to show them the cost, because now you can compare it, okay? So we're going to do an exercise, and it's going to be pretty interesting and fun for you guys. For example, let's imagine there's a B2B company, okay? Let's say a B2B company. So B2B company, let's say that's an IT company, whatever, right? B2B company in the B2B space, okay? So let's say, for example, their average deal size is 30K, okay? So whenever they get a new clients, the client pays them 30K, which is essentially just like average in the B2B space. You'd be surprised that when you get them a client, sometimes that client is like 100K, right? Trust me when I say this, okay? Let's say, so like we said, it's a B2B company, their average deal size is 30K, right? And then let's say they are only relying on referrals, word of mouth, and cold calling, which is essentially like any B2B company, cold calling, and also ads. Yes. Also, they are running ads. Okay. Let's say your sales system is, $3,000. Okay. So your sales system costs $3,000, right? Now let's implement these three things, these three attacks, right, that I just explained, which is the payoff, the cost, and the comparison. And we're going to use them in a very smooth way, okay? Now, the payoff that they're going to get, let's say, for example, your sales system is going to get them 5 intros with decision makers are interested in their current offer or service, whatever they're trying to sell, okay? So your sales system is going to facilitate 5 intros with those decision makers, okay, that are interested, okay? Now, let's say they suck at closing. Let's say their sales team suck, right? They cannot close a deal to save their life, right? Let's say from 5 intros, they only close 1, okay? So that's already 30K, right? So they invested 3K and they got 27K. So this is the payoff that they get. This is assuming their sales team sucks, right? So this is the payoff that they get, right? Now, let's flip the script. Let's use the cost now, right? Now, to get 5 intros, like we said, well, they are running ads, they're doing cold calling, they're doing referrals, etc., etc. Well, to get 5 intros, if you're running ads, you're probably going to have to invest like 10K, right? To get 5 meetings, right? With these decision makers. And it's not certain, it's not predictable or reliable, okay? As we all know, in ads, ads require testing. It's not like you're just going to put 10K and you're guaranteed this amount of results, right? It doesn't work that way. This is why people just try testing different angles, different ads, because you can just blow the entire cash into one ad. What if it doesn't work, right? So again, now we have the 10K, right? And let's say in 1.5 months, and they've managed to put 15K in ads, okay? They also do cold calling. Well, in cold calling, there's a lot of problems. There's the mental burnout of these cold callers, right? The performance is not going to be the same every single day. Another thing, and now it adds up to their sales team. Now the overhead costs skyrocket, right? So again, there's time, there's also overhead, and there's also
mental burnout. Another thing which is huge, which you guys can leverage this, okay, when you're trying to sell automation. This cost is quite hidden and quite interesting if you think about it. Now, right now, they lost 27K. Because initially, if they put 3K, well, they would get the 27K, but they didn't. Well, now they lost 27K. So that's again a loss, right? It's another cost that they have to pay. So it's like they pay 27K, right? It's like a hidden cost. It's like a leaky cost that it's like a hidden one. Like they can't see it, right? But it's already there. All right. In the course of 6 to 12 months, obviously they're going to keep running ads, the mental burnouts. These costs will add up in 6 to 12 months. Well, now they're potentially losing 30K to 100K rather than investing 3K in your sales system, right? So now, well, what do? Well, we use the ultimate attack. And then what happens, you guys, when you merge blue and red? Well, what do you get? You get the purple. So now we have the purple, which is the comparison. Okay, so the comparison now is essentially just compare the amount of money that they're going to be losing, right, with the potential payoff that they will get if they will work with you. Well, now all you have to do is just put in the reps, get out there, take action. I believe in you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.